Hey guys, Roll King here, coming to 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross video. And today, boys, I'm finally doing my tier list. This was supposed to come out like last week, but I had to do a lot of testing. So for people who don't know, a lot of people have done tier lists before, but I feel like a lot of people who have done it already, like that have done like the Grand Cross tier list, they don't really actually test a lot of the units. I know there's some units that even I didn't test because they just literally do not work in certain fights, like whatsoever. But a part of this game for me that I really enjoy is PvE, and I like doing different things because everything becomes one note if you keep using the same character over and over. Like that's the difference between PvP and PvE in this game for me. Like I can try different things and just not auto lose. And I think that's like really important for keeping the game fresh. I know right now Grand Cross is in a bad state like when this video goes out, but hopefully if you guys stick it out and you do play a bit longer, you can find some enjoyment like trying other characters and different things, because Hell Demons is something I was really looking forward to, and it seemed like not a lot of people liked it. But when I was testing a bunch of units, there's different things that I really liked about them. Then they are serviceable and it's possible to clear. And this list is for people who really just want to know like what they can use outside of like a few select units. So yeah, I'm gonna make timestamps for this video, so for every character there's gonna be a timestamp. I'm gonna make sure I make them, so if you just want to get to that character and see what it's about and like why they're placed there, there's that option. But I really appreciate it if you did watch the whole video. So yeah, here it is. Just look at it now. You've been looking at it for the past like I don't know, like a minute. I don't know how long I've been talking for. So this is a really in-depth guide. I've like since Hell Demons came out, I've just been like lobby sitting. So I've been playing like a bunch of all of these characters, or I've asked guildmates to play alongside me with them. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So first off, we have Escanor, Daddy Sunshine, Green King, Elizabeth Valenti in the SS tier. So let's start off with Escanor. I believe Escanor is the best DPS character for this. I'm biased against support units, so if I had to pick between like putting Escanor and Elizabeth and all those stuff first, I would put like Elizabeth as like #1 character with Valenti. But that's just me. I know a lot of people just like damage more, so I just put those at the front, obviously. So I believe Escanor is the best unit for this raid, because when I've used Escanor, he's the most consistent. He has the most like single target damage. Like King does get a 30% extra boost, but Escanor just hits too damn hard. Like I'm literally not even like, I don't even have your gear for him, and he easily hits for like 216k on his ultimate at like rank 3. I don't even have a 6/6 Escanor. So yeah, the reason why I have him at the top as well is that yes, he cannot hit with his Ikimas card, but in Grey Demon, cards really don't matter. Like card damage is almost 0 to negligible most of the time. Only few characters have like decent card damage that is actually worth something. We'll get to that later, but most of the time it's card damage. You're not playing for that. You're only playing for ultimate rush. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to worry about. Escanor is like, he has one of the best ultimates, and in niche situations, like what happens after you break the demon, especially on the first or second phase, he goes into a stun state, and during that stun state you're able to hit him with ground attacks. Escanor's Ikimas card is one of the best cards for this fight, because he already gets back like 3 ultimate gauge if you've been like merging cards. Because if you're merging cards, right, if you get 2 Ikimas or like 4 for some reason, because the RNG just loves you like that, when the demon drops on the ground, you're almost ready to ult again, because when you drop, you're probably already ulted him, and then you're going to like use your Ikimas card and you're going to be ready again, especially if you're running Elizabeth, which I really do recommend that you do. He's going to have his ultimate back up, especially if it's a level 3, and the card damage from Escanor, because it is Escanor, is going to be somewhat noticeable. It's like about like a level 2 king or a level 3 king, depending on how well built he is. So another thing is Escanor, he becomes immune to all the debuffs the Great Demon has, which can actually come in clutch. I've been in situations where Escanor is like the demon's almost done, but you don't want to like stretch out the fight even longer. Elizabeth has her ultimate, and because he wasn't recovery disabled, we just ulted with Elizabeth anyway and got his ultimate again, and then we just killed the demon on the next turn. There's like a lot of times that can happen where you just want to finish the demon, or maybe you might be in a pinch, but because Escanor had his ult recently and he wasn't recovery disabled, he could just get the ultimate back up again because of his passive, obviously, and then he just killed the demon. So yeah, I believe Escanor is the most consistent, and his damage is higher in a majority of cases with much less investment. The only thing is that he is a premium unit, so you have to pull him, right? So like King and a lot of other units on this list are free to play friendly, so yeah, that's just something to consider. And you can't really buff his ultimate, so there's that as well. But like a 6/6 Escanor, like, do you really need to buff that? Like, let's be real. Like, you really don't need to buff the 6/6 Escanor, especially if you have UR gear. And I know a lot of people have built UR gear. I'm one of the few people that haven't, and I still do like a lot of damage in Great Demon. So next we have Green King. Green King is a unit a lot of people put as the best, and I would not argue with them if they think Green King is better. The thing is with King, I don't believe he's as consistent as Escanor. He has higher highs and he has lower lows than Escanor. So if you watch the Escanor segment, you would see that I talked about he cannot be recovery disabled when he has full ult gauge, and Escanor can rush his ult faster. King doesn't really have that. The only thing King has over like Escanor is like the ability to do decent card damage, which is a lot of sometimes. But the thing is, King isn't really doing damage with his card unless he has like 4 or 5 ultimate gauge, and at that point, like, you're getting ready to ult, and I'd rather just use ultimate damage, because like, yeah, you could do like upwards to 50 to 70k with a card, or I could just do another 230k with an ultimate after rushing it with the cards that I held on to. So yeah, especially if you only have one Elizabeth, which can happen because a lot of people don't build Green Elizabeth. I do recommend building her if you really just want to like grind, especially since this is going to be a daily grind. I really do recommend building Green Elizabeth. But yeah, King has higher highs. There's like times where he's just like critting for like 330 or like almost 400k, but that's like at 6/6, so you need him like maxed out basically, and that's like with a crit damage gear. I know a lot of people are not going to invest into King like that, so don't get me wrong though, at 1/6 he's still a serviceable unit, but like if you have like Escanor, then Escanor is better, especially at like 1/6, 2/6. It's better than like a 3 or 4/6 King, unless you have like UR gear for King, but that's like a whole nother like ballpark. So like I said, highs. If you want to put him above Escanor, I completely understand, but like realistically, a lot of players aren't going to do that, and that's what this list is for. Players that are mid-level, mid-spenders, and free to play, not like whale stuff, because like whale stuff, it doesn't matter what you guys do. You guys have the money, you can play whatever you want. But yeah, he is from the coin shop, and if you started this before, if you started this before when they gave away the free King, then you could get him like 1/6 easily. So yeah, Green King, like his card damage is real, but like here's the thing: if you have, say you have one Elizabeth and you get an your ultimate, like your card damage is only significant if you have full ultimate gauge or it's like a level 3, right? But the thing is, if you get like a level 3 card, that means you already gained like 3 ultimate gauge, right? Because like, you know, the cards fuse, and then after you gain like 3 cards, that's 1 Elizabeth ult, and then you can just ult, and then you can move that card again, because you can't get RNG'd and you're not drawing your kick cards, and then you're just sitting there, because like your card damage is not going to be anything if you use that card. It's not going to be anything worth the time. So especially if you don't crit, which you probably won't because you have no ult gauge. So that's what I'm saying. King has higher highs than Escanor, but he has lower lows as well. And like, just to be comparable or get those higher highs, you need such a large investment. So that's why I've put King at second, but I can see the argument for putting him first. Next we have the queen of PvE activities, just in general, the menacing, the pillar of all fights, Valenti herself. So Valenti makes this fight just super easy. She is one of the primo units alongside Elizabeth that just makes it so that you take like no damage. Especially if you have two Valentis that are decently built. You don't even need Is that a bike? I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's a bike. Yeah. If she's the primo unit. So if you have you don't even have to have her 6/6. You just need one copy. And you don't need UR gear. You can use regular rear gear and re-roll it with gold, because that's what I've been using for like 99% of my gameplay since I've had Valenti up until now. Bike again, or car, or whatever. Bro, I'm getting sabotaged right now, Gowther. He's sending his bikes towards me. Yeah, Valenti, she's really good with very little investment. And here's a tip: I see a lot of players make this mistake. Valenti should always be ulting the demon first. I see a lot of people keep removing the buff from the Grey Demon. Please don't do that. Like, Valenti, no matter, in all cases, just remember this: all cases, Valenti ult first. The rupture damage is actually good. Even at 1/6, it does decent amount of damage. So please. It does so much less, and the demon just takes longer. Valenti, just let her ult first. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. Let Valenti ult first if she has her ult, and then everyone can do everything else. Remove buffs, use their ultimate, then Elizabeth ults or whatever. And yeah, moving on to the next character, which I've been hyping up this whole time. Green SSR Elizabeth, the healer. So she is like, Elizabeth's a cheater, okay? She doesn't pay taxes. Elizabeth is the kid in your class that cheated off your tests and somehow got a higher mark. Elizabeth starts the fight with 2 ultimate gauge already. So all you have to do when you start the fight, this is what you should do. With 2 Elizabeths, both of them rush your ultimate, and then at the start of your fight, you just ult one right after another. Escanor uses 1 card, King uses 1 card. Every DPS character on your team has their ultimate already. And you know what happens? Because Elizabeth starts with a 2 ultimate gauge and her ultimate gives 2 ultimate gauge, Elizabeth only needs to use 1 more card again and her ulti's back up. So what does that mean? Literally ult on cooldown. Like, you're literally ulting one right after another. You're staggering it. Elizabeth is literally a cheater. She's cheating the system. Arrest her, please, somebody. Yeah, she's the primo unit. Like, please build Elizabeth. Bring 2 of them. It makes the fight so much faster. Grey Demon is so slow if you're not like just ulting constantly. Like, it can be a decent fight, but like at the same time, if you don't have a certain select units, the fight becomes really, really grueling. Like, yeah, you could do it with 1 Valenti, but with 2 Valentis, it's so much easier. And then you could do it without Elizabeth, but it's gonna take so much longer. I'm telling you. And you can run into situations where you just like drop low in HP, depending on how built your unit is. And I know some people don't have the best units, especially with random. So like, I see a lot of people coming in with their units that aren't built that well. So if you have a green Elizabeth, you can easily carry them if they don't have their own. And even at 60, she is serviceable, so don't get it twisted. Like, you don't have to put that much into her. So that's why I really recommend like just 3 SSR penance. Get her to UR status and put like your best HP set on her, and she'll do really, really well. She's not there for anything else except for stripping, ulting, and cleansing, which is really important. Please use a level 2 Elizabeth. Cleanse, heal before you ultimate. It can happen. The Grey Demon recovery disables you. You will not gain ultimate gauge. She's very like she's probably the hardest unit to use, but like hard being the operative word. all you have to do is just know when to take off buffs and rush in your ult at the same time, and when to cleanse. Yeah, if you get recovery disabled, cleanse if you're going to use your ultimate, or cleanse if you're low in HP and you need it and you know he's not going to use recovery disable again. But yeah, Elizabeth is she's pretty good. Just know that. Just please use her. Just, you can bring anything else. If you have Valenti and Elizabeth, you could just use those two. Okay, so moving on to S tier. S tier we have Merlin, and this ranking for her is odd because she can move down and she can move up at the same time, and it really depends. So I know a bunch of people probably don't even have Merlin 6 yet. I know, like, if you've been doing it through the coin shop, I know some people probably only have her 3-6, 4-6, and not everyone runs an attack set on her. So here's the thing, Merlin actually becomes really close to useless if you don't have a high ultimate level. Because remember, I told you ultimates are the game. You cannot debuff Grey Demon, your ultimate rollback doesn't work, you can't attack seal him. So you're usually just there for your support card or your ultimate. And if you're running an HP Merlin, she's really not that good. Like, she would drop down to like A for me personally, because like if you have it linked, yeah, it still does a decent amount of damage, but like there's other better characters that you can use. I could argue that Jericho would be above her because Jericho just does a lot more damage with her spike. Yeah, she's not as good on an HP set or if you have a low ultimate level, but if you have it on an attack set now, then it's a different story. Because on an attack set, especially if you merge into like a level 2 shield and you have like a Gowther buffing you or whatnot, her perfect cube can actually stop a lot of the debuffs the demon will put on. And there are situations where you will get cucked by RNG, you won't get that cleanse card that you will need, and Merlin can just straight up prevent that, because with Valenti, especially if you have double Valenti and then you use that Merlin perfect cube, it makes it so that the Grey Demon cannot break the cube, and when you can't break the cube, the debuff won't go through. So yeah, that usually won't happen on an HP set, by the way. So yeah, and I have a max roll attacks on my HP set and he usually just breaks it. So that's what I'm saying, if it's an attack set, especially with Gowther buffing that card, if you get like a level 2, maybe even a level 1, you can stop debuffs from going through, which can allow Elizabeth and enable her to just keep ulting, because she won't have to worry about cleansing or whatnot. Yeah, and if you have a high ultimate level, Merlin's ult does do decent damage. So she stays in S tier just because of her flexibility. So so if it depends on what you have. I know different people built her different way, so she could be at A tier below Jericho, or an S tier above Jericho, right underneath the primo best units for this run. Next we have Jericho. I know a lot of people will have her 6-6. A lot of people really like Jericho. She's only under Merlin at A because none of her cards actually can really hit the demon, especially only in that very small phase. And the thing is, I see that get patience sometimes. It's not really like that's not the reason why. Remember, card damage doesn't matter for this fight anyway, because like your weak point damage is not gonna go off. You can't debuff him. And the bleed card is terrible. But the thing is with Jericho, when she ults, she hitting, like you feeling that it's smooth, man. It's smooth. It goes down smooth. Like her ultimate, when it crits, that's the only problem. When it crits, is comparable to my King's damage. But that's the thing, you kind of have to crit, and if you don't crit, then she's really not good. That's why I have her in A tier. She's kind of like Zeldris for this fight. If you guys don't know about Zeldris, that's a character that's gonna come out soon. He doesn't like crit sometimes, and then he just becomes a subpar unit. But when they do, like I could put her S tier. Like when she crit, but like when she's not, it's not good, because like then you just have a dead unit basically. Like her damage is not nice whatsoever. Next we have counter Meliodas. So I've ran with a bunch of good counter Meliodases before. Yeah, I've run with a bunch of good counter Meliodases before, and he hits demon with one of his cards. The counter cards. So here's the thing with Meliodas. He has to have low HP, and that's a problem when you're running Elizabeth and Valenti, because that should literally never happen. You need a lot of coordination, and you would need this is something you probably run with someone if you're actually coordinated with them. This is not something you run with randoms. If you run it with randoms, I'm pretty sure you'll never like it. You would clear, but it'd take a very long time, because like, yeah, just because of the primo units that everyone should be bringing to the fight will cause it so his card doesn't work. I've run with a Meliodas and I've played around it to allow him to get off a counter card at like around like 45% HP. It does good damage. That's the thing. If you do get him low, the stars align and you get like a really good card on that phase where he buffs his attack and then he attacks. Meliodas will do a lot of damage to him, because then he can actually hit him. But outside of that, he is just like an average unit. I just put him at B tier because he does have that X factor to him if you are able to pull it off. His ultimate, if you have a 6/6, is gonna be like decent. Like I said, ultimates are the name of the game for this fight, and you're gonna see that's gonna be a recurrent theme as we go on. So yeah, if his ultimate is really built out, I know a lot of people will have UR gear from Meliodas, so you'll be doing a like decent damage with your card, especially if you do get low and you start critting with it. Like, card damage doesn't really matter too much, but the fact that it's there, like chip damage, is nice. So that's the reason why he's B tier. Obviously he's not like the best unit, but like there are situations like if you get to pull it off, then he's really good. So this is where we get to like the weird part of the tier list. There's gonna be a certain point where I'm just gonna skip over some of them, because the ones that I'm going to skip over are the ones that I just didn't test because their cards literally cannot work, or their passives literally do not work. So yeah, but all of these units I did test. So C tier or 6 out of 6 tier. So I've actually used the green SSR Liz, and she does decent damage. Like, if you have her 6/6, she's an easy 6/6 if you're free to play and you're without Green King for some reason, or without Escanor, which I know is more possible than not having a Green King. Yeah, she can work. The only problem is that you are taking up the green Liz spot, so that means the ultimates are gonna come out a lot slower. So then the fight is gonna be a bit slower. So if you don't have the green SSR Elizabeth because like you started a little bit later, or you don't have enough coins to get her in the coin shop, yeah, she's like the best option. She hits the demon with both of her cards, but card damage don't matter. I tried like many things to make her work with like full Pierce, running with green Dreyfus. It still doesn't matter. The demon is just like too tanky, so you have to hit him with ultimate. But her ultimate does hit reasonably well. So if you want to and you want to just try it out, note that it's not the best. So just keep in mind it's an ultimate that can be buffed as well. So if you're bringing the buffers, then they can buff it up a bit. It's not comparable to the other ones above on this list, but it can work. Green Diane, she okay, so like taunts aren't really that good in this fight. The only thing taunts really do for you in this fight is save you an ultimate gauge at best, because like say you want to keep an ultimate or keep your king from losing an ultimate gauge, or your Escanor, then that's cool. But like here's the thing, like you're just rushing ultimates anyway. Like you're gonna have a lot of ultimate gauge. It will happen where you do get hit by the demon and you lose that ultimate gauge, but that doesn't happen too often on your DPS character out of all the 6 units on the field. So yeah, the only reason she's up this far is because if you do have her 6/6, I know some people will have her built because they're running the probably like the best PvP team at the moment with Diane, Lost Vein, and Fraudrin. Yeah, she could do decent damage. It's a single target ultimate, so single target ultimates aren't too bad. Now we have Green Chungus. the legend himself, the man that is talked about by man of legend from legendary lands, Green Fat King. So when I actually ran with the Green Fat King. I'm telling you guys, I tested it. He's not terrible. He really isn't. He gets a boost because he is a king unit, so he does get extra damage against the demon. Nothing ridiculous. If he's 6'6", he actually hits pretty decent. His poison card is useless though, and his ultimate, like his passive, is that if you have full ultimate gauge, you do get that extra defense. So if you only have one Valenti, you're still gonna be tanking really well in this fight. His ignore defense card is actually the same as Meliodas. It's the same card, so it doesn't really get patience. So like, I know I said card damage doesn't really matter, but there are situations where the demon is just like one sliver away, and that little bit of extra chip can come in clutch. So having a card that won't patience, especially on the second phase, is really nice. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about him. Is that he performed a lot better than I thought he would, especially on the first couple of phases. If you have him built out, he's a really good character for this fight. Obviously not better than the ones above him, but that's why he's C tier. Next we have Elaine. Elaine, I was tempted to put her into wasting time, like on the low tiers, but when I looked into it, she's not bad. She gives King that extra HP, so that extra HP will help with living. If you don't have Valenti, I know some players do not have her. It's not bad. Like, you get a little bit of extra HP. Your hopefully your raid partner does have a Valenti, or you're still gonna be taking a lot of damage. But the extra HP is helpful for your King, because King is a character that doesn't really have that much defenses, especially if you're running like the crit damage, full crit damage set or attack crit damage. He isn't like the healthiest character, doesn't have that much hit points. So Elaine is nice. She has a single target ultimate, so if you do have her built out for some reason, or unless you're dark skin, then yeah, she can actually work in the fight. The single target ultimate will do decent damage because it's single target ultimates are all that matter. And she cancels the buffs as well, so that's really nice. Yeah, I have nothing else to say about Elaine. It's a subpar unit, but like, she does have her merits, so you can try it. These two are buff characters, so there's on the tier list, you could put them higher or lower, but I just made their own tier. They're not worse than like counter Meliodas or anything, but they're good support units. Like, especially since they're free to play, you could just get carried. Like, you can have, I've had people that come in with me with just their 1/6 King, Gowther, and their Helbram, and it just makes the fight go by a little bit faster because they don't have the other primo units. So it helps, especially if it's ultimates that can be buffed, like another King, which I did run with them. So it's really nice. They're buff units. It just makes the fight a little bit faster. Gowther has a really good single target ultimate. Helbram can remove those buffs. If anyone has ever actually done like damage with Helbram's card, like if you've built Helbram and you've actually done damage with his poison card, I'll pay you, because like, I've never seen his card actually not get patience. So yeah, but outside of that, they're fine buff units. Buffing isn't really ridiculous in this fight, especially since there's no Gowther. You have to remember a lot of the fights, like card damage, the reason why it's so inconsistent as well is because you're not going to be using things outside level 1s and occasional level 2s. But besides that, yeah, they're not terrible units. They do have like a dead card, like the poison card, like I said, and Gowther's rupture card. Like, it doesn't do any damage. So yeah, and then we're going down to passive units. So Zaneri is the best passive unit for the Great Demon, just because of the cosmetic upgrades that you will receive. She helps with the defensive piece, so the defensive set, you get an extra piece if you have the costume set for her, which you should if you even have her and you pulled for her, which I do recommend pulling if this video comes out in time while that is still up. Yeah, she is the best unit for this. But if you're having trouble, like struggling with like living, then Ruin is actually really good, especially paired with Valenti. You really don't take any damage anymore if you do run that Ruin. Just realize that it's going to take a bit longer because you don't have that attack related boost. Ruin helps with living, so what a lot of new players need to do, just get him like decent enough so that your CC isn't just tanking and you will go first before the boss. And then you don't have to like 80 him or anything, just get him to 60 and he sits in the back. That's their passive units, that's what they're for, right? So reducing that damage is really nice, especially if you're a newer player. Please don't bring like Cain or the other ones. If you're Cain or like Allioni or Deathpierce, if you're struggling with living, please don't do that. Unless you have like Valenti in the front, which you shouldn't struggle with living anyway. Allioni, attack related stats, him and Cain are literally do the exact same thing. So I'll just pair him with Cain right now. Cain, Allioni do the exact same thing. Deathpierce, he's really good to run with Jericho, because Jericho, you know, helps with the critting and whatnot. There's no other reason to run him. You run him if you're gonna run Jericho or you're gonna run Green King. Outside of that, there's no reason to run Deathpierce, because you're not gonna be critting the demon like that anymore with like any other character. So yeah, Jillian, just like Ruin, if you don't want to build that Ruin, like you're hell-bent on not building Ruin and you just want to build Jillian because she's actually really good for guild boss, then yeah, build her. Jillian's good passive unit, gives you 30% extra HP. There's nothing else I can say about that. So now we're at the bottom, like the bottom tier. So yeah, I tiered it if you like wasting time. So Diane, interesting, I'm pretty sure not a lot of people know this, but interesting, both of her cards can actually hit the demon. But like I said, card damage does not matter whatsoever. She is at the front here because at least her passive can help with survival. If you don't have like a Valenti, like you only have one Valenti or something, like her passive is pretty nice. The thing is though, Elizabeth will cleanse it eventually, so yeah, there's that. But you do get the extra defensive related stats when your units are debuffed, so that's pretty cool. If you have her 6/6, sure. If you just really like Diane like I do, eventually I'm going to try this, but I still can't pull this Diane to save my life. So yeah, but AoE ultimates are just not good here. Please don't bring AoE ultimates at all. They're just not good whatsoever. Meliodas, you can't debuff the boss. He needs a debuff for him to get the weak point on his ultimate. If you play against Demon Meliodas, then you know why I'm saying this, because the ultimate just does not hit hard. Even at 6/6, it does not hit hard. It's a waste of time. Derieri, the green one, she's terrible. She cannot hit the boss whatsoever, and her ultimate, you realistically will only get 2 buffs in this fight from the buff SAS support units that you have here, Helbram and Gowther. So you're not gonna be doing the red Derieri-esque damage that you see all the time. The queen, obviously, but like this version, this is this is before she was royalty, you know, before she was what do royals do? Are they like reinstated? Is that, no, that's not even the right, bro, don't even listen to me. She bad, don't use her, it's a waste of time. Green Lillia, you can't debuff the boss, so she literally does nothing except for an AoE ultimate, which isn't that good, and I know a lot of people won't have her 6/6, especially with the Green Lillia fiasco. We're not going to talk about that though. It wouldn't matter, even 6/6, it's a terrible ultimate, terrible damage. Estarossa. So I know a lot of people swear by Estarossa. I don't like Estarossa. I'm just putting it out there. I do not like Estarossa, okay? If you read the manga, you know why. One of my favorite units. You know what he did to her. You know, okay? You know, if you see my videos, you know who I like, and if you know what Estarossa did, then you know what Estarossa did. I don't like this unit, and he's terrible for this fight. So I'm happy. I'm happy that he's bad here. Estarossa literally does nothing. Unless that small phase where you can hit with melee attacks, but like I said, you just want to be ulting the boss, and that little phase, especially with Estarossa card, does not matter, because, yeah, it just doesn't matter. The damage is very negligible, very small. His counter card will save you an ultimate gauge, sure, and his ultimate literally just wastes a turn. If you have trouble surviving, sure, which you really shouldn't, like I said with this fight, especially with Elizabeth healing you constantly, which you should bring. Estarossa is there if you want to witness the eventual heat death of the universe, twice over, because he's just gonna stall, and he's gonna stall for a very, very long time. You can clear, but it's just like, why would you want to make a fight that's like super long or longer? And that's it. Fraudrin, he has a single target ultimate. If you've built him out, you can bring him, but it's just like, why would you bring Fraudrin over some of the units above on this tier list? He can strip buffs with one of his cards, and it is ranged, so that can happen. He can strip those buffs with that card. It's not really like why I would bring him, because Elizabeth does that as well. So yeah, he has a single target ultimate, so it can hit. And these three, green SR Howzer, green Gowther, and Hugo, they're this low because even though they have single target ultimates, they don't do enough damage. Their stats are really, really low. I don't know why you would have UR gear. Well, maybe some people have UR gear for Howzer, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, his ultimate is just not hidden like that. Please don't bring those like that. This is suffering. These three was like, if you like suffering, you're a masochist. Okay, sure, you're wasting your time. You can do that. Whoever you want to trap with you in that fight, sure. Hugo does give the extra defense on the ultimate fully. He's kind of like Green King. Only difference between him and Green King is that like Green King has that little extra boost and the ignore defense card. So that's why they're so far apart. Remember, these two tiers are just supports. So if you like wasting time, you have nothing else to do in your life, everyone around you knows that you're a disappointment, and you like letting people down, this is the tier for you. You got Bon, who extorts the boss, but he doesn't because he didn't. Because you can't debuff the boss, and the ultimate damage kind of sucks. He has a ranged card. The card does no damage because he can't extort. So it's terrible. Please don't do this. No one even knows what this bond does. I don't even know what this bond does. Please don't bring him. It's okay, I already checked. Like, he does like... Just give me a second here. Yeah, like I was right. I checked. He does nothing. I double, triple checked. He really does nothing for this fight. He has a single target ultimate. His other cards suck though, and he can't remove ultimate. Please don't build this character. Like, he's literally one of the worst characters in the game. Grimoire, his ultimate doesn't even do damage. Please don't do this. Don't do this. Please, nobody, don't build Grimoire. The only reason I haven't built it is because I'm a simp for Diane. Do not build this unit. He's terrible. You're a sandbagging. You're literally just there taking damage, slowing down the fight. Gustav, you can't debuff the boss. You get extra Pierce from your passive. It's not worth anything. I've tried it. The Pierce, the extra doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're not getting that card damage. Only ultimate damage matters. And the extra Pierce really ain't doing that much, I'm telling you. And his ultimate is AoE, it's not single target, he's an SR, terrible stats, don't use him. This character, I'm really sad he doesn't work. I actually really like Mon Speed, but you can't debuff the boss, can't get rid of cards, obviously. And yeah, you can't ignite him, so you can't get that extra damage for Mon Speed, unfortunately. If he did, then he'd be really good, man. But unfortunately, he's not. His ultimate is AoE, so even if it's 6/6, it's not hitting that hard. Rimuru is a healer, but why would you bring that when you could bring Green Elizabeth? I don't know why you would use the Slime Rimuru. So yeah, there's that. Hendrickson is terrible. Aaron literally cannot do anything. Yeah, maybe if you wanna like waste a lot of time, get his ultimate. trying ult again as the Titan, and then revert to your normal garbage self, then sure, yeah, do that. Tell me how your grandkids are doing and how they waited for you to play with them, but because you've waited to ult with Aaron twice in the Gradium fight. Yeah, Green Dreyfus, trash. The Pierce, the passive, no, I tried it, don't try it. It's terrible. He has an ultimate, he has low stats, it doesn't matter. Yeah, please don't. This is interchangeable, really. Like, he could be up here, but like, I'm putting it down here. He has the remove buff card. It's still wasting time, but because I can acknowledge that he can remove the buff when he's on the ground, that's one thing he has over these other terrible units. So yeah, that's pretty much the tier list. I went as in-depth as possible and like how to play these units a bit. Yeah, if there's something you guys want to discuss, I'm willing to discuss it in the comments, and I'll be willing to like revamp or rechange this list. I'm gonna update it obviously in the future if new units come out every time I do a PvE tier list. Yeah, so thanks guys. If you really liked the video, leave a like. If you really want more content like this, subscribe, and you know, comment and tell me down below what you guys want. I really had a lot of fun testing and trying out a bunch of these units, and a lot of not fun because some of this was terrible. But yeah, I just really like actually testing units and see how well they do. And yeah, see you all next time.